You can keep going. I'm gonna wander around like an idiot in front here.
And this is What's in Head's Long Box. This month, I'm going to be talking about Animal Man. I'm going to start talking about Animal Man, mainly the Grant Morrison series. But for this first episode, or first segment, we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Let me introduce my guest. I've got a guest host for these shows. Joining me is Mr. Shawn Marek. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Marek? Yeah. First time. First time. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you for joining me.
I get people transposing those last two letters somehow, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm just like, and then there's also the more traditional Polish way to say it, which is Marek. You can say it that way, but Marek is it's as plain as you said it. So I appreciate that.
Horrible pronouncing names, so I like when I get it right.
Yeah, right on.
But yeah, so Shawn decided, I put a message out there on the podcasting group I'm on, looking for someone that likes Animal Man as much as I do to join me. And Shawn waved his hand in the air because he apparently doesn't know me and said, I'll join you. Before we get started, let's get about you. So you a podcaster yourself?
Yeah. So my wife and I, Jen, we do a podcast called Worst Collection Ever, which is a comic book podcast. But and you know from the title, but one day we buy a lot of comics that aren't that. I wouldn't say that they're very they're not good. It's just not stuff that like our tastes get very focused on things that not everybody cares about. Like technically, like an Animal Man would be in that realm because maybe he might have had his time, in the late 80s, early 90s, as we're going to talk about. But if I'm sitting there like I got to collect all these late Vertigo books, and it's like, but I do. That's the thing. That's how I kind of do my collection. So in our collection, but it's also like a thing where it's like we buy them from dollar boxes, we buy them real cheap, and you don't really always get key issues from there. So It's not like so technically I have good comics. Like there's some comics behind me that were my father's. Like I had the first appearance of Metamorpho, I got the first appearance of Bolton Man. Like those are things that he was like, you could never sell those or I'll haunt you. So I'm like, great, that's where they're staying. But but I got those. But a lot of the stuff is like I just want to buy like the full run of Guy Gardner, of Guy Gardner Warrior. Like I once had a guest on his podcast and we read that book and he said, this is the worst book I've ever read. And it was like right before he became an alien, but like he wasn't really doing much with the ring. He had the yellow ring.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff where it's like people come in and they're just, just like, you could be like, wow, this is really not great. But on the plus side, it allows us to have a chance to just, my wife, or at least for Jen and I, to like just riff and just have a lot of fun, just beating up on the comic, beating up on the absurdity of things that happen in it. I think I said something last week to the effect of like, we're a show that talks about our favorite heroes and says terrible things about them. And because like it doesn't matter, like what it is, as long as there's enough interesting stuff in there and fun stuff, it makes it enjoyable for us. And we've been going on. It's actually since 2014, but we did take a 2-year break somehow because I thought it was only be like 6 months, but it ended up being like 2 years.
It happens.
It happens. So we took a break and came back, but we came back in a way that we're, instead of just grabbing random comics that from our collection, we're actually going to try to do like arcs of comics because we do have a lot of those, like stuff that's consecutive, so it doesn't feel like we're out of. Because sometimes it got to a point where you just pick up a random book and you're just like, okay, I have no idea what's going on here. And I can talk about some certain stuff in this, but, it's not going to be as fun if, we kind of have an invested interest in, or like a thread we can hang on to, and the audience can get that as well. So, but that's our show. We release episodes every Friday on your podcatchers everywhere, as well as youtube.com / worst collection ever. You can find us there. The episodes get directly up there, and we it's like my personal YouTube channel, but I just kind of converted it so that the episodes are up there. And I'm in the process of making them look nicer, and it's actually kind of nice because I get to kind of revisit some of these old shows and make like social media clips and do like shorts or something like that.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. The wife and I are doing we're doing a Quantum Leap podcast, and it's
Oh, right on. Nice.
Yeah. We started off because I was a big fan of Quantum Leap when I was younger, and she'd never watched it. We got a friend from Australia that's a big fan also that joins us on it. And
okay.
We were doing the original series where me and him are big fans, and it was first time for her for the most part. And then we got the first season and then like 7 or 8 episodes of the second season. And then NBC came out with the new series for it.
Okay.
So we stopped what we were doing to kind of jump onto that. And we did the first 8 episodes of that. And then wife's not really feeling that one as much. Then we got busy with my daughter's in band. She's going to be a senior this year, but she's in band, and my wife's a band booster president. So we've been busy doing stuff for band, and wife's trying to get her credentials to be a teacher. So we've kind of, right now it's currently on hold, and it'll probably be a hold like yours, but
yeah, right.
But yeah, it's currently on hold right now. But yeah, me and the wife do that one. So
I dig it.
I definitely get, podcast with the wife and had to put things on hold for life. Because sometimes life just interferes and
yeah. No, it's totally how it was. I think for us, like we got burned out because of the way we were doing the show, and it was more of a thing where I was more focused on like other, and Jen the same way. We were focused on other stuff, and it just didn't feel right just grabbing a book and trying to talk about it and trying, because I'm like, I'm not going to do this if I'm going to be happy. And plus also too, like, we don't get a lot of downloads. We don't get a lot of plays, and it's just the way that it just, I don't know, I just got kind of tired of it. Dealing with that stuff, and I have worked in podcasting, in the past, and, being close to that stuff, kind of when you see exactly how those things go, you're just like, man, this stinks. It's just like everything else. But although I absolutely love this format, of podcasts and YouTube, the way that YouTube allows you to stream and just all, it's not anything new, but it's stuff that for guys like us who have very narrow interest. Sometimes you have a narrow interest in something.
Oh yeah.
And you have to scratch that itch. So it's totally cool to be like the one person doing that. And a podcast is a perfect way of doing that.
Yes.
Or a blog, or, obviously YouTube channel. And really, like kind of thinking about, Shag and all those guys. Yeah. Like, he's a Firestorm guy. It's like, well, that's his thing, and you allow yourself to hone in on that, and it feels good. But yeah, sometimes I think we're just kind of making it a bit more general for us. So we took a break, but now we're back, and hopefully, we'll keep going as we are.
Very nice. Yeah. So yeah, I invited you here. Like I said, we're going to talk about Animal Man. Animal Man's not a new character. He's been around for a while.
He's a guy that's been around way longer than I think people might
realize.
Give it credit for. I want to say 1968.
Well, according to some background information on Animal Man from Wikipedia, he was created by Dave Wood and artist Carmine Infantino. Betty Baker first appeared in Strange Adventures 180 in September of 1965.
Okay, that was close.
And then he adopted the name Animal Man in issue 190. So yeah, you were close.
Yeah, because I think it was like for the first couple issues, he was the man with animal powers.
Yeah, or human too. I think they called him at one point. And which I think is a reference in the issue.
Yes, sir, that's true.
It was a minor character for the first 20 years, never getting popularity of other DC heroes such as Batman and Superman. He only made 5 non-consecutive appearances in Strange Adventures, 4 of which were reprinted Adventure Comics, followed by 2 appearances in Wonder Woman, 2 in Action Comics, and 2 in DC Comics Presents, appearing in consecutive issues of each. And that's where I first met him.
DC Comics Presents?
The Action Comics, and I think the crossover into the DC Comics Presents.
Yeah, because it was the Crisis, the Forgotten Heroes stuff going on.
Yeah.
I've read those. And actually also I have one of the Wonder Womans.
Okay, I don't think I read those. So.
Yeah, but I've been trying to figure out a way to sneak those into my rotation. But it's like he's a character that you think. I mean, okay, he's not as young as you think, but also you think that he might be able to squeeze in a few different places, that weren't just what he has. Because that's
Right.
actually, you reading that, and I was like, there's got to be a few more appearances, like where else could he throw himself, where could you stick him into? Like obviously a Brave and the Bold or something,
Right.
Or some other, like a New Teen Titans or whatever,
Yeah.
they just kind of have the connection to the 60s and stuff, or late 60s.
And real quick in the chat, Heinz has joined us. Hey, Heinz. This is Hi, gentlemen. Heinz calls one of the regular viewers over my G.I. Joe podcast. So
right on.
Heinz could show up. Apparently those 11 issues was his entire appearance pre-Crisis. He later on became one of the DC properties such as Shade and Sandman that they revived and revamped in the 80s for a more mature audience. And then as seen in Strange Adventures 195, he was billed as a full-time hero, an aspect that would be most changed by the revamp. He's been a part of several teams. He was part of Just League Europe. I read that. Forgotten Heroes, as I mentioned, that was the first place I saw him. He was in the White Lantern Corps, Just League United, Just League Dark, and Black Lantern Corps.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. He was... That's right. The Just League United, that was the Canadian... Was that the Canadian version?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
that was purely Canadian, but yeah, it was...
Yes, yeah. the wildly Canadian Buddy Baker was part of that team. Yeah. I guess Madison Jeffries wasn't available or something.
His abilities is the ability to gain the powers of any animal that exists or has existed via access to the red, which we'll talk about because the red's a more recent thing.
Right.
As we'll talk about. And so for his origins, real quick, film stuntman Buddy Baker, to whom aliens gave animal-themed powers, debuted in Strange Adventures 180. Again, as I said, cover dated September of 1965. In the story, I Was the Man with Animal Powers by Dave Wood and Carmen Infantado. Baker gained a costume and a name, initially A-Man, in Strange Adventures 190 in July of 1966. He continues a semi-regular feature in the book, making occasional cover appearances through 201, which came out in June of 1967.
Have you read all those?
No, I haven't read any of those, I don't think.
Are those hard? Those have to be collected somewhere. But I mean, I was gonna say, it's hard to find a place to. I mean, you could probably read them digitally, but I mean, I'm always about finding a trade. So it's like,
oh yeah. I don't know if they've appeared anywhere trade wise.
Interesting, because you think they would have.
See, I'm a big fan of Animal Man, but I don't know if he's popular enough to warrant a trade of his appearances.
I don't know. These seem pretty important.
Yeah. Right,
and then I got 7 of them. So,
well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they.
I got this whole run that we're about to start with here.
Yeah,
it has been collected.
Okay,
so it's on all those trades, the Vertigo and everything. So, you get to dive in with all that. I'm just surprised that this didn't they don't have a preamble to this of some sort.
That would make sense. Yeah, the origins of Animal Man or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
After that, he had subsequent. His appearances were sporadic in the 80s. 1980, he had a guest appearance in Wonder Woman issues 267 to 268. And then the rest of the time he appeared, he was a part of a group called the Forgotten Heroes, a team of minor DC heroes. It was that capacity appeared in the Crisis, as you mentioned. And apparently the Animal Man series we're going to talk about was originally conceived as a 4-issue limited series, but apparently was sold very well, so they upgraded it to a regular series. So when did you first run into Animal Man? Do you recall?
Oh, sorry, was that?
I said, do you recall the first time, what your first run in with Animal Man was?
Okay, so I think it was Wizard magazine.
Okay.
Because my comic book fandom, actually, it could have been 2 things. My comic book fandom is, kind of really starts in when I was 12, 11, more like 12. I had comic books before that, but I wasn't really collecting. I maybe had G.I. Joe comics or Transformers or whatever. But wasn't really collecting, Marvel, like any specific stuff. Like I knew who heroes were, and obviously I was familiar with certain characters, but
Right.
not to the degree that I am now. And I somehow came across like an issue of Wizard around like 93 ish. So it's pretty early on in that run. And you would have back then they would have the price guide, the price guide, they used to have like a lot of like more detail in it up
Yes.
until they had to keep adding more stuff. But before that, the detail used to have occasionally you'd see like, here's the series and here's the issue number, and it would have like the like first appearance or O for origin or D for death or whatever. Just have the like a legend of sorts that you could follow. And sometimes they would just put like blurbs about the story. And there was an issue of Animal Man that I ran across, I saw in this book, and it's issue number. It's in the listing, and so they have all of them. It's like 1, 2, the price or whatever, and then it has like the 5 through 16 or whatever, and then it gets to issue 27, and it just goes, Animal Man eats horse. And when I see stuff like that, when I get again, we talk about these lesser heroes and things that not everybody enjoys, and kind of like the basis of our show and stuff. But when I get into stuff, when I see weird stuff like that, I'm like, what's going on over there? I need to know. Like, how does this happen? You just don't eat a horse. I mean, you're not, unless if you're farming steroids or whatever, you're not just putting a horse between two pieces of bread. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
And so I eventually I did track that down. But also, I'm going into the comic book store more often, and I'm running into issues of his in the dollar bins, in the books of his from so even some of the Vertigo issues. Okay. And I'm reading through it and I'm learning about it, and and I'm just so there's that. But there's also, and I don't know if I have it on. It's probably with the rest of my things, but there's that the DC, it's like a Skybox series of cards or something, like trading cards.
Right.
And so they have like, it's like the silver border. You might recognize them.
Yeah. There.
Yeah. And so they have an Animal Man card, and it's just his picture, he's standing like, it's like an Owen Mills studio with a bunch of animals around him, just sitting there, and it's a nice drawing. And on the back, you're just like, okay, so what's this guy's origin? What does it do? And it tells you, but and then occasionally they give like a little picture of like some sort of artifact or thing that's related to them.
Right.
And it just goes, and in that block that just goes, Animal Man's aliens. And it's just these two aliens that are yellow. They look like your stereotypical aliens.
Right.
And that's what he had. And I was like, wait, so what happened to this guy? So does he see these aliens and hang out with them? Does he talk to them? How did this happen? What is going on? So I got interested, and I've always kind of had this connection to Animal Man because of that. And I didn't really, until a couple of years ago, didn't get really to dive back into the books and read them straight through, like these trades, and just really get immersed in it. And it's so awesome. It's so fun. And I know we're gonna get more into it, but it just, there's a distinct flavor to it, to the way it's the art and the writing, and it just feels really cozy.
Yeah, so you came into it kind of a little bit later. See, my first appearance of Animal Man, like, as I've talked about previously, I've always been a superhero fan. Mm-hmm. Watched the cartoons, the TV shows, the coloring books. But wasn't buying the comics until '87 with G.I. Joe. Right after that, a friend of mine gave me a huge box of like old back issues, and in that was that Action Comics we talked about with Superman and the Forgotten Heroes.
Okay, right.
So that was my first run in with Buddy Baker. Was as the Forgotten Heroes as a back issue that someone gave me, and it was him, Cave Carson. I forget who was all the time. Rip Hunter.
Rip Hunter is an Immortal Man.
Yeah, I think Immortal Man was in there.
Yeah,
a lot of those fringe characters they don't really deal with.
Bunch of jabronis, yeah.
Yeah, which again, same reason I picked up the Time Master series because I was introduced to Rip Hunter through that book. And
oh man, so I recently read some Rip Hunter for the first time, and I was like, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
it really is because I got this trade. It's just 52 companion or whatever, but it has he appeared in that 52 series, so they just put a bunch of like stories in there or whatever, and so they got a bunch of Rip Hunter stories, and it's like some of the paragraphs, it's like
very
and not that I can't read it, but I'm just like, okay, this is not very exciting. I could be reading something else, or it just doesn't hit. It wasn't hitting, but it's interesting you mentioned him.
But Rip Hunter. If you're a fan of Rip Hunter, I recommend the Time Masters series. It was like an 8-issue series that kind of redefined time travel after the crisis.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's got a purpose to it. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of redefined the time travel, how time travel worked. Which again, DC promptly broke every chance they got. But
of course,
they were trying to set up rules for how time travel worked in the new DC universe after the crisis had ended. But yeah, no. So that was my first run with Animal Man, and like I said, I started buying GI Joe off the magazine stands or the gas stations or whatever I could find it. And I was reading these issues and they're referring to things that happened in the past. So I'm looking for comic shops to find, I'm gonna find these back issues and read these back issues of GI Joe.
Right.
And I found one in Merced, about 15 miles from where I live, because I didn't have a comic shop in my town. And so I'm going there to pick up back issues of GI Joe. And of course they've got the new comics on the stand. So I picking up other books like, Spider-Man and Superman, all these. And I saw it was like the first or second issue of Animal Man I caught on the stand of this series we're talking about. I'm like, I remember him from that Forgotten Hero. I'm going to have to check this out. So I picked that one. And it was the second issue. I also picked up the first issue was there. And I just loved what Grant Morrison was doing with the book.
That's the great feeling. And I get this feeling a lot too when I go into comic book stores and I will, be at the new issues or whatever, and I'll see like some character that like I either thought was dead or just haven't remembered from like a random like appearance in like one of my Marvel like handbooks. I got the official handbook or whatever, so I'm just like I'll get real excited because I think one time was it Porcupine, the Marvel villain?
Oh yeah,
showed up in some sort of Spider-Woman. And I was like, "Babe, he's back! He's back, babe! Porcupine's back! I thought he was dead, but he's back." So I get real hype for that.
Oh yeah,
it's a great feeling. It's a good thing when you go, and also not even that. You're just like, "Oh, that guy's got a series. This book's about him. What's going on, man? What is this? What is happening here?"
Yes.
That's all it goes.
And Grant Morrison is one of the British writers that came over and started doing a lot of books in DC and Marvel. And it was the British wave and all that. And he had an interesting take on Animal Man. And like I say, he did the first 26 issues, which we'll be talking about. And then another writer was to take over, and it started leaning more towards the Vertigo. And then became an actual Vertigo book, which is more the adult line, if you will. And that's where when it starts getting more weird is where it starts to lose me. But like I say, the newer stuff, I've enjoyed it, but it's not. I prefer, for the most part, more of the traditional superhero. When it starts getting weird, I'm in and out usually.
Do you lump that in? Does that same opinion go for like the Jeff Lemire stuff? Like,
yeah, I liked it, but like I say, it would get a little weird. The artwork would be a little weird for me. So that there I was also in and out of. I'd read it for a while and then I'd kind of drop out and check it back. Cause again, I'm a fan of certain characters. So I want to see what's going on, but man, a little too weird for me right now.
No, fair enough. Yeah. I like it especially for Buddy in particular, in this iteration. I like seeing him in the outfit.
Right.
And I know that it's not, we're not always, rooted in that, sort of aesthetic, but and the outfits, they're weird colors. Like, it's like, oh yeah, yes, I have that one.
Yeah, I've got to pick this up at Target.
I got that. I saw that at Target too. I picked it up super quick because I was like, I'm not going to see this, because sometimes certain ones of those go real fast.
Yeah.
And I had the new, not the new 52. What was 50? So there was a DC Direct series of, it had Animal Man in it. It was like 52 from the 52 label 52, and
Right.
I had that. I didn't keep that one, but I do have the one in the 2-pack that DC Classics Mattel 2-pack that he came in with, Bwana Beast.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I got that, and I know there's a Superpowers styled one McFarlane's put out, which I have not seen.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that one's like new, because they're, and that whole line, it's at the end of the link, because Mattel's taking it back over. But
is that what's going? I heard that McFarlane was stopping doing that. I hadn't heard the details about what happened there.
Mattel, I think whatever the rights were, they just ended up going back to Mattel, and it could have been, not that he's hurting for stuff, but who knows, maybe he's just, it's surprising, because that it must be a DC thing, because those figures seem to do really well.
Yeah.
They're high-end figures, but you can still, they're not so high-end that, you can't give it to a kid, I mean, you probably shouldn't, but, if you want them to, if you want, you're saying, but what's great about it though, too, is that everything has, well, Mark McFarlane's a little bit different, because theirs are a bit bigger, but when you want, like, if you're doing wrestling stuff with them, and wrestling figures, like I say, they they're about the same size now, so everything's like 6-inch, whatever, so you get to have nice compatibility of just like these universes to play with. So I'm intrigued to see where it goes, and it sucks too, because I think that these last couple runs that they're putting out, which includes this Animal Man gimmick that they have, is not probably not going to be as easy to find. So I'm hoping maybe I can find it on like one of my local places, conventions or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I hadn't heard they were doing. I'm going to see if I can find that one, because I'm a big fan of Animal Man. That's the only thing I wish this one came with a jacket, like in the
series. It should come with a jacket. I'm surprised it came with was it a beaver or a dog?
Wildebeest.
Wildebeest for the Teen Titans. He came there. That's a good deal. Yeah, whatever that's a Wolverine, I think.
Is that a Wolverine?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know why it comes with a Wolverine, but I do like that he comes with that claw, that hand. That's such a very specific cover in one of his covers, and it's very much like somebody cared enough to do that. Even if you didn't include the extra monster with them or whatever, the Wolverine with them, you throw in an extra claw, one of those claws, you're like, okay, well, I know I've seen this, like, as a fan, that's great service. But yeah, I mean, there's also a DC Unlimited, Justice League Unlimited figure of him.
Oh, okay.
That I would love to find, but those are I get so angry at those figures, because they're in that Bruce Timm style, and their chests are huge and their legs are tiny, and they don't give you stands. So those ain't if you can get to the stand and not fall down constantly, you're a saint.
Yes, I'm not a huge fan of that Bruce Timm style. I mean, I like the cartoons, but as far as action figures, I prefer the more comic book looking ones. Or the not comic book ones per se, but the more.
Yeah, that is a clean figure. I kind of wish his outfit was a bit darker, and the orange was a bit darker.
Yeah,
I could have been okay with that. But then again, you get it's weird, because I'm looking at your background here,
right,
that you're using for this, and like sometimes it goes a bit dark, but sometimes it
is more orange.
Yeah, it's more. It's definitely orange, and I just think the orange is great. I think the jacket, which serves its purpose, as he describes in this first issue.
Yes,
but it's a great addition because he didn't have the jacket earlier.
Yeah, he started wearing the jacket in this series. This issue we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Previously, it was just basically like this previously.
Yeah.
That's why this didn't bother me, because this way he originally looked for the most part. I just wish it would have had the jacket like an addition you could add on or whatever.
Well, you got to have the option, if you wanted to display him a certain way, sometimes that's how you feel.
Because, like I said, this Grant Morrison is the definite Animal Man to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't such a huge fan. Like I said, it wasn't bad, but I wasn't a huge fan when he started changing shapes, because that kind of took it out of what he was. But I understand the change, but
no, totally.
As we'll get into, and Animal Man is very much in the same vibe as Vixen from the Justice League. She had the same power from her totem that could absorb animal powers. And
right. There's actually a pretty good, I'm trying to remember what issue. It's in the Lightning Saga run of the Justice League of America from like the early 2000s.
Right.
And there's an issue where Vixen loses her powers because she's a part of the JLA or whatever, and something happens that her powers are getting messed up because something's going on in the red, and she has to like get a hold of Buddy, and they have to like go in there somehow.
I may have to look and see, because
it's interesting. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, like both Buddy and Vixen. She appeared in the Suicide Squad, which I've been covering with my Task Force X.
Okay.
And she appears over there occasionally. But yeah, I remember Vixen from that when she appeared in the Just League of America books. Again, because a lot of those were in that big box of books I referred to earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of have a soft spot for Justice League Detroit era stuff, because I find characters like Vibe to be very annoying, and I just, for some reason, I just didn't enjoy some of that as much. But also like you have like this interesting group of characters, including John, Martian Manhunter. That's one of my guys.
Yeah,
John's one of my guys. So I'm cool with John, and he's kicking it with Steel, and it's a weird vibe. You got young heroes and old heroes, and it's very like, you could tell it's at the end. You could tell it's at the end,
right?
But you're gonna see it through, and they do their best with that. And I'm cool with that.
I thought was good about that run of the book was, none of those characters had their own series, so the writers could do what they wanted with them. Whereas, when you got Batman and Superman and Green Lanterns and all these other characters that have their own books, you're kind of limited what you can't kill. You're not going to kill Batman off in Justice League.
No, you can't, because
he's got like 12 other books out on the stand that month. So
I know, right?
Nothing permanent is going to happen to Batman, but Vibe or Gypsy, they could die because they've got no other book they're appearing in on a regular basis. So
yeah, right.
I liked about those second and third string characters that when they appeared in the Justice League, they were a little more flexible, a little more. I can't remember what I'm looking for, but they're a little more
versatile.
Yeah, versatile, and they're expendable. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
A little more expendable, and and they weren't,
I would enjoy a Stallone-led movie with members of the JLD.
There you go.
I could see that movie. That's a crossover I want. I want Expendables v Justice League Detroit.
Yes, that would be fantastic. But Animal Man. So but that's kind of his origins. Like I said, originally in the comic, I'm not sure about the original's origins. I think it was probably the same. He got his powers from the metamorphic field. For a while there, the animal had to be so close to him to be able to absorb their powers, and that would change.
Is it a thing where they crashed these aliens crash landed, and he just happened to be upon them, and they were like, "Hey, you seem pretty cool."
We'll get into that, but I think he was picked up by the aliens.
Oh,
okay. I forget. Again, it's been a while since I've read his origins. I forget if he stumbled across them or if they one of those things where they picked him up and
there's like flashbacks. Yeah, there's like flashbacks of stuff that I've seen where I get the impression with that. Yeah.
They'll touch upon that in this book. In fact, I was in like after issue 9, it crosses over into Secret Origins, where we read his Gut Buddy's actual origin.
Right. Okay. I do have that one too.
For the time being, we'll probably cover that one also. I forgot about that, but and I know his origins changed over. They said, well, actually, this is what really happened.
Yeah.
But and then eventually they'll change that in later years, kind of trying to tie him in more with because Swamp Thing, they eventually said he got his powers from the Green and the Parliament and all that, and they would expound upon Buddy and give him powers from the Red, trying to make him more like Animal or Swamp Thing. And I know it was the Jeff Lemire era.
Yeah, it's definitely that's where all that stuff started, because they
together with Swamp Thing.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of crossover there.
They're always making Swamp Thing for a while there. In Firestorm's book, later run, they made him the fire elemental and tied him into it. And
Red Tornado was the wind elemental.
Yes. You are correct. And they created a new character for the water elemental. But as a Firestorm fan, I wish they would have used Typhoon for that. But it is what it is.
Right.
Speaking of Firestorm from earlier, I'm a big Firestorm fan. In fact, that's why I got into podcasting, was one of the reasons, because I stumbled across Shag's Firestorm and Water podcast.
You want to know what? I also blame those guys as well for really rekindling my comic book interest, because I went years ago when I was in LA. They had this Batman exhibit, because Dark Knight Rises was about to come out, so they had like this exhibit with all the cars and just a lot of stuff, and it was like downtown. So my wife, who's a huge Batman fan, specifically Batman and Catwoman, that's her jam.
Okay.
She's a Bat Cat all the way. But Batman, I was like, hey, let's go. So we went, and one of the art things they had there was this painting, and I always forget the name of the title. It's a send up of a classic painting, and it's like one of those weird impressionist, or minimalist, I guess you would call it, and something by the park, and so it has all the the original. It's just the way it has all these different people in it,
right?
And just kind of standing around and like doing recreational stuff. And in this version was just the same thing, same exact thing, but they just put superheroes in it.
Oh, okay.
I gotta see if I can remember. I wish I could remember it, because it's a very famous painting. If you saw it, you might recognize it.
Right.
And they did do one that was a villain one that was like the inverted version of that. But what happened was, I wanted to know more about this painting, and I did like a reverse search or something, or looked it up online, and I came across an article that Shag did about this painting, because Firestorm is in it. So it's a big deal to find that. And I came across his website, and I'm just like, okay, so he's got this Firestorm guy. I remember Firestorm, and I remember, you got Rob talking about Aquaman, and what they were doing at the time, they were just kind of getting into it, was the Who's Who.
Right. Yep.
Run. And I remembered Who's Who from, growing up. And I was like, well, I love just having stuff that is like, I love the Marvel handbooks. I just love hey, here's a picture of this guy and here's his bio. It's just really silly stuff, but I just love it. And
right.
I got obsessed with the Who's Who stuff, and I listened to their podcast. And I just got back into more comic stuff, because they're talking about all these characters and all these other runs, and I'm just being reminded. Yes, there it is.
I'd love to. It's called the original painting is called A Sunday Afternoon.
Sunday Afternoon, yes. I thought it was Park, but yeah, there's it's
Serata.
Who?
George's Georges, Georges, and the last name is Seurat. Surat. Yeah, I don't know. It's a classic painting, but this one, I just love looking at it, because there's just so many weird things in here. You got Dex Star for some reason having a little being chased by Beppo the super monkey. You got
the Robins sitting up here. You got Catwoman's doing something. I don't know why Catwoman's not standing next to Batman, but I guess it makes it look better when you have this Batwoman costume here. Firestorm. I like how Firestorm is chilling with Captain Atom, and they're both the guys with things flaming out of their head.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to like put them together. Aquaman is fishing. It's great. This is I just love it.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Fantastic. Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a supervillain one too. That's not as good if I remember, but yeah, it's a lot of fun, and that's what got that article they had about it was what got me into this and really started putting me on this run of like collecting comics again, and actually, which is what ended up with the podcast. So yeah,
very nice. But let me see real quick. Look at my notes real quick. Yeah, I think we've kind of covered Animal Man and his origins, where we come from Animal Man at, our love for Animal Man. So basically what it is it's going to be on Head Speaks, and for the next 26 episodes probably I'm going to cover Grant Morrison's run because I really loved his run on it. After that, I talked about it wasn't bad, but it wasn't quite the same for me. But yeah. I love what Grant Morrison did on this. So
yeah, he's good, and he's well, obviously we'll talk about it, but yeah, no, I've never delved into too much Grant Morrison stuff, but I definitely feel like that's something I should, or at least just I don't have to do Batman, but I'll do like all the weird Doom Patrol stuff.
He did the Just League for a while. The
yes,
yeah. I think he's when they rebooted that back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, just when it was just JLA, I believe.
Yeah, he was doing that book, and that was a good book. I enjoyed that one. Yeah, I think Grant Morrison does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, again, he's one of the the well-knowns, if you will, one of the popular writers, I think. So,
indeed.
But yeah, so I think so this is gonna be the first step part of it, and then the next episode of Head Speak will cover issue 1, which we'll be talking about here in a few minutes in real time. So we're going to end this here, and then we'll pick right back up for Animal Man number 1. And so we'll go ahead and jump into Animal Man 1. Put my notes on that. Love this book. Okay. So this is What's in Head's Long Box. Again, I'm back this month with looking at starting the Animal Man series. Once again, joining me, he was here last month. We have Shawn Marek.
I've been sitting here for a month straight.
But yes, we're here to talk about Grant Morrison's Animal Man run. As we've talked about the last time. Get that out of the way. Grant Morrison did a great job on this book, but let's go and find out a little bit about this. So we're talking about Animal Man number 1. This was cover dated September of 1988, but it was on sale May the 31st of 1988. That's the same year I graduated high school. Just how old I am. But let me see. The cover price of this was $1.25. The title of this first issue was called The Human Zoo. The writer of this was Grant Morrison. The penciler, Chaz Trog. I'm probably butchering that. Inker was Doug Hazelwood. Letterer, John Costanza. Colorist was Tajanya Wood. And this was reprinted a bunch of different places, apparently. It was an Animal Man trade paperback in 1991. The omnibus
hardcover. That's the one I have, yeah.
Okay, yeah. The omnibus hardcover in 2013. There was an Animal Man by Grant Morrison 30th Anniversary Deluxe Edition hardcover that came out in 2019. And then Animal Man by Grant Morrison Volume 1 trade paperback in 2020. And the cover of this was by Brian Bolin. Did a fantastic job. And the editor was Karen Berger. So
yeah,
first,
Bolin don't miss, man. I'll tell you that.
He's fantastic. He does. Yeah, I talked about the Killing Joke he did.
Right.
And I try to keep my podcast, family friendly. Yeah, I dropped the F-bomb on that. So, man, this is so effing good.
Yeah. No, it's like, there's that, but also he's had some really good Wonder Woman issues that he's done covers for.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that he's worked on that I remember from the 90s that it's just a nice, like, he kind of, it's not as expressive as Kevin McGuire, but there's enough of just like a charm to it that makes me recall that, and just the way too that. And I'm not an art guy, so I'm sure there's a better way to explain this, but it's everything is like the colors or just the textures. They're more of like a contour, not like you don't see sharpness to them. It just feels like it's just nice and clean. Like it looks like an action figure, kind of.
Yeah.
Just there's something like a good vibe to it, and I dig it. And I love this cover. I'm sorry, I'll let you do your thing because I'm just jumping into things here. But you
bring that up.
Talk about the cover.
So if I'm doing this right, the cover should be on the screen right now. There's the cover. It's got Animal Man running towards us in his jacket. And I never really noticed, but when I pull up closer to it, it looks like he's got blood on his face.
I'm not seeing it, actually. Am I supposed to see it?
I'm not sure. It should be showing on the screen, I would think.
Just in case this is part of your YouTube show, hopefully everybody will be able to see it.
Let me see.
Well,
share. Do you see it now by any chance?
I think it flashed for like a second.
Yeah. It's not staying up or what, but not showing sharing. Anyways, the cover of this has Animal Man running towards us, and surrounding him, we have a wide variety of animals. There's a tiger, a rhino, a giraffe. I'm not sure what that red thing there on the side is.
Oh, that was like a crab.
Is that a crab?
It was like a crab or a praying mantis or some sort. You got one of those weird long-nosed monkeys. I forgot what they're called, but
gibbon, I think. I want to say
maybe it's a gibbon. There's a certain. It's a very specific monkey that you see when they're like, "Hey, you want to see some animals from Africa or something? You want to see something wild? Check out that monkey. He's got a big nose."
Yeah,
but
I want to say it's maybe a gibbon, but I'm not. Again, I'm not an animal person, so.
Or mandrill. How about a mandrill? Could be a mandrill.
Possibly. Yeah, again, I'm horrible at animal names, so. Yeah, it doesn't.
You're not an animal man yourself. You're an
animal man.
You are almost animal man. You like the comic, but you can't name the animals.
An animal, an owl, a snake, a bird of some sort, a giraffe, a bat.
This bird is green, or it's a parrot. It's obviously the parrot. For a second, I was going to say, is that a what's it say, Beast Boy hanging out back there?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a parrot of some sort. At the top, it says it's a jungle out there with the Animal Man logo.
It's a new format book.
Yes,
but I don't recall seeing this format, like the way the price is, where it's not like in an actual box or like a bubble or something that it shows. Like it has everything there, but you wouldn't see it unless if you're picking it up. I feel like the only other one that really was doing that was at least the one that I remember was Legends of the Dark Knight, which came out around this time.
I think the new Titans or the new Teen Titans was going to the new format.
Okay. But those had like sometimes they would have like a certain like section. They would section off the box. It just I don't know because I'm trying to look. I'm going to look here in the future. We'll get to the future ones, but I find that interesting looking at that.
But yeah, no, this was as we were talking about new format books. It was if I remember right, it was a glossier paper, sturdier paper. It wasn't newsprint. And they were trying to transition some of their book, and it was a higher price because I think most books were about $1 at this time. But this one was like a little bit more because it was a better quality paper, better inking, I believe. So,
yeah, the way that the price is on this goes up until issue number 6, and then it's the box on the left hand side as opposed to the right. The price on the right, and this is because this is the invasion book. So,
okay, yeah. So I was just looking real quick about the new formats.
I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing the way that they would change that, and I think it's ridiculous today that you can pick up a comic and not know exactly what month and year it's from. Or it just
Right.
you see the number, but it just doesn't have that distinct date. Because I mean, like the way that I might order my comics, obviously, I do a lot of it chronologically,
Right.
but on my apps and stuff, like it'll ask for that stuff, and like I wish I could just look at a cover and see the month and the date and know exactly what I'm looking at, what year it's from, or what it's from, even if it's from now, like doesn't that stuff is important,
Right.
for collectors. You'd think that would make sense, that would be a thing they would do more often.
You would think so,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things to do. I wonder about, but let me see real quick. I don't see a lot offhand on the new format, but yeah, I recall there was a handful of books they were charging a little bit more for, and it was better quality paper and better print job on it. Because again, the paper wasn't the new stock or the new stock whatever that we're used to. So the synopsis for this one, Buddy. Let me pull this down. Buddy Baker, the occasional superhero known as Animal Man, decides that he wants to revive his career and become a full-time superhero. He plans to eventually join the Justice League, but first he needs to start small. After petting his power of absorbing the special abilities of animals to some test runs, Buddy appears on a local television program. After his appearance, Star Labs requests his help when one of their animal research labs is broken into. The lab was demolished by someone with super strength, as evidenced by the bent metal doors. Also, many of the research subject primates have been fused together into a grotesque, amalgamated creature. And I got this from Mike's Amazing World of Comics.
Okay.
He decided a lot of his podcasters use that one. Though I did notice here he fails to mention the subplots. And I don't think we find out who he is in this issue, but there's some strange man crossing, going into San Diego with a helmet, which we'll find out later on more about him. So, Shawn, what are your initial thoughts on this first issue of Animal Man?
I really dig it because it gives you obviously the vibe of it is different than most other comics you're reading at the time that are superhero comics specific.
Right.
And right off the bat, you as an adult, I appreciate it more as an adult, because I'm like, yeah, he's a guy who he's a Hollywood stuntman. He's trying to figure out his life. He says something about he's like, I'm gonna be 30, something like he's around that age. And I remember what it was like when I was 30 and trying to figure out the hell it's gonna be next for me. And he is like, well, I have these powers, might as well take this on, and see what happens. And it's great. And it's just like also too, like the way that it's done, it's like a TV show, because he starts off trying to grab that cat, and then eventually, we get into this actual plot of what he's trying to do, but then there's this thing happening concurrently, and then eventually those things are converging at the end of this issue or like the episode. And then at the very end, it's just something that you're not ready for the graphic nature of it. Yes. And you get a bit of that in the middle of the book when our mystery man is about to be mugged, and he takes down a criminal, but he like does it in such a way where you're like, oh damn, like I didn't think that was going to happen, or who first of all, who is this guy? And it's funny because when you realize who this guy is, you're just like, is that guy? Like that guy did that, like, but you kind of, when you read on about him, you understand what's going on with him. But yeah, I thought it was wild. There's a lot of wild stuff in there that just kind of catches you in a way that I think it really makes sense that they made this for mature readers down the line.
Right.
You know, like, because as an adult, I didn't read this as a kid. I didn't read this, when in my teens or whatever. But I feel like if I read it in my teens, I would have been like, yeah, that's kind of That's kind of boring, Or if I was younger or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. What's this? I don't care about this guy's family, whatever. But when, or maybe it would have. But I think now it just has a real cool, gives me a cool feeling to dive back into it and just kind of snuggle up with it, if we're put it.
Oh, yeah.
Cozy. I like to use the word cozy to describe a lot of things, and this book is very cozy.
I agree with that. I was 17 when this first came out, and I dug it. I liked, and I think reading it now is different than when I was 17, because now I'm a family man. I've got kids, I've got grandkids. So reading, and I'm an older man myself. So reading about this guy that, he's starting to get a little older and questioning his life and what he's doing with himself, and trying to find his, because again, especially back when we were growing up, it's like, we need to find your purpose in life. You need to, we hammered home on that. You need to find what you're going to do. You need to go to college. You need to do this. You need to, have a purpose. And, here I am at 55, half time wondering what my purpose in life still is.
Yeah, no kidding. So. Yeah. Well, also just to kind of point that out, like him and Ellen, they both work in entertainment,
right,
to a degree. So it's a thing where they don't. These are this obviously was different in the 80s,
right?
But for people to survive, in that sort of environment, and with those kind of jobs or whatever, or if it was a different way, because they have a house, like they're not living in an apartment, or they're not living in a condo, or they're not staying with family. Like they have a house, but they still have to figure out this financial situation, and they work in entertainment. And that as somebody who's been there, it's like, all right, you need to figure out, you're good at this thing and you can do it for these places and these people will have you on, but is that permanent? Is this going to be, do you feel good about, how do you feel about, the changes that will come with it? And you get that right off the bat, because Ellen's talking about her book, her kid's book. And, there's obviously not just like what you're going to do, but what do you want to do?
Right. And that's what I said. It's, again, this Animal Man, Grant Morrison, he kind of, he did the standard superhero stuff, sort of, but he kind of twists a little bit, and he, gives a little bit about Buddy's family. And we find out that just like, me and you, they're struggling, trying for what they want to do. And, she's like, well, I'm doing this. He's like, but you really want to do this book? Yeah, but it's not going to sell. And so even as a 17-year-old, maybe I was weird, but I enjoyed seeing that side of the superhero life, outside of the costume with them, struggling to figure out what they're doing with themselves. And
it's unique. It's for the time period, just starting off with that, and acting like, we're not just jumping into him like fighting somebody and him being like, man, I gotta think back to my life, a couple of weeks ago or whatever. Right. No, we're starting. We're building up to it, and it does a great job. This first issue does a great job just reintroducing this character. That was the goal.
Because this was his first series. I think it's probably his first appearance since the Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the book start. We'd only start with Buddy at the beginning. We start with the stranger walking, talking about monkey screaming, rattling the bars. And we show him walking towards San Diego on just the first page. Wondering who the hell is this guy? What's he up to? What's going on with him? And
he's leaking. He's dropping. There's liquid dropping onto his foot. I'm assuming it's he's having a bloody nose from all that torture in his head.
Yeah, but we don't find out who this is quite yet. I mean, maybe if you're familiar with the character, you might recognize him from his helmet, possibly.
It's Magneto.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's right. Magneto is coming to DC Comics, guys. Get ready.
Yeah.
Magneto's coming to San Diego, guys.
Careful, watch out. And I do like our first introduction of Buddy. Again, like you said, he's not in a costume. He's not fighting crime. He's saving the neighbor's cat. And, he's in the tree climbing. And the neighbor's like, watch out so you don't fall down. and he grabs the cat. The branch breaks, and we see him use his powers to absorb, the cat's ability to land on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was an interesting way of showing what his powers is without going into an info dump.
Yeah. He's not thinking about doing it. You just kind of get these circles behind him, like this vibe,
right?
This whatever, and it totally makes sense, because you're like, okay, that you know who he's, a guy that has animal powers, so you kind of can glean that he has something to do with animals from the cover. But then you have this panel where it's like, okay, he's doing something with those powers.
Yes. And
this poor woman.
Like her husband's sitting there. Morris. He's got this hat on his head, covering his face, trying to take a nap, holding his drink, and he's a wonderful human being. Now, will you get off my garden and give me some peace?
Get off my lawn, he says.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's just a nice taste of humanity, the way that these people are integrated into this story. This neighbor, because and this neighbor references her other cats, one of which is missing.
Yes.
Which we find more about later on in the series, and it gets kind of nasty.
Maybe it comes up later. Maybe that's referencing it. Interesting. But I do like, like it could be laid out as a TV series, and they're setting up plot points for later on. They're dropping, it could just be, just a bit of dialogue she just threw out there, or maybe it'll come back up later and actually be a plot point later on that they're seeding right now. So Grant did a great job on that.
Yeah.
And when Buddy's in the kitchen talking to Helen, and they've got the Rolling Stones cover with Captain Atom and Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and Mr. Miracle on it. The current
what an issue, by the way. You see this? Yeah. So you got Superheroes for Africa. So Mick Jagger is involved somehow.
Yep.
He's there. And you got the JLI or Justice League America or whatever it was at the time. So you got Captain Atom and Booster and Beetle and Mr. Miracle. But also in the same issue, Bon Jovi, Heart, and the Vampire Lestat. What a loaded book.
That would be a great issue to have, I think.
I need to. Is there an interview with the Vampire Lestat? Because I'm there for it. I want to know what he has to say.
Yeah. See, he's referencing the JL. Yeah, so this was the JLI. This was right before they changed to the Justice League America and the Justice League Europe books.
Right.
So this was the JLI era.
I adore this. I love this. This is a line here where Buddy's like, look at Blue Beetle. What can he do? And as somebody who didn't really, I don't know much about Blue Beetle, but I know about him, but I'm like, what can he do? He doesn't do anything. He's just a guy that has a gun that looks like a hairdryer.
Yes.
And also, he's very good at doing exercise, doing flips at this time. He's a good gymnast.
Well, I know when he appeared in Crisis, he had very much the Spider-Man poses going on, and
but it's not this. Yeah, but I'm like, but exactly, like that's kind of how I feel about some of these guys.
Yeah,
look at that guy. Yeah. Also, I gotta say, and we'll see another one of these later, but Ellen's shirt just says "World's Greatest Mom."
Yeah.
So I assume that this is the day that they wore their shirt. That the family, most of the family, or half of the family, wore the shirts they won at the county fair. So it's fun to see that because she's making a nice salad. But Buddy's drinking a beer-flavored beer, by the way, at some point.
Yeah, then we find out more as we go along. They are more vegetarian because of Buddy's connection to the metamorphic field and animals.
Yeah, he does it. I remember that issue though. He does it in such a way where it's like, when you're married, you kind of have to talk to your spouse.
Yes.
Maybe you should be cool about that instead of doing the way you're doing that.
And we'll get to that. But no, definitely. And real quick in the chat, a buddy of mine, Dave Martell, he's in there. He says, "Hi guys."
Right on. Hello.
Joe role-playing game stories. He's part of the Energon Protocols, the JoJo role-playing game I'm on. And he says it's the first time he hears about Animal Man. He's happy to hear him about from me.
Oh, well, that's great. That's how you learn about stuff like this.
Oh
Man.
yeah,
It's the best way to get granular and just but also it comes from a certain appreciation, and you can tell when you talk about stuff like this.
Oh yeah, no, I love introducing people to especially great stories and great characters like this. But no, like as we've talked about, they've got the average, family life. Ellen's complaining about, he spent $800 on Animal Man costumes. They've only been out of the closet for like 8 times, which is probably the 8 appearances he had previous to this.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, he bought those back in probably in the early 70s.
Yeah.
So that $800 sounds about right.
Yeah, and again,
for the quality of costume, I guess.
Yeah, and back in the days, that's quite a bit of money for
It's a lot of money.
70s or 80s money. Even nowadays, it's a good drop. But yeah, back then especially,
it's like wrestlers getting wrestling gear.
Yeah,
like when they have to go to a certain guy. I wonder if there's a certain guy. I wonder that would be a fun if the showcase was still around. It was having or you have like a backup of the guy where all the superheroes go to get their stuff done. To get the gear done. You guys need boots. You guys need tights. You need a top. You need something important. Like sometimes because there's certain and I'm a big wrestling fan, so there's a lot of ways that wrestlers they go to certain people for their gear.
Right.
They have a way. Some people can really stand out, than others, and I imagine it's like that in the superhero world. Also, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, I know that one time in the Flash, I think it was a Flash comics, there was a costume designer for the superheroes, Gambini, I want to say, or something like that. If I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, there was. In fact, I remember that was it the CW show or was it the 90s Flash TV show? There was made a reference to it.
Oh, I kind of vaguely remember that. It was like that in I think Daredevil or She-Hulk. They alluded to like a certain designer or somebody making
Daredevil
stuff.
did too. Now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are, again, they don't get enough love, I don't think, but yeah, there are designers for some of these heroes. So I do like when they do mention, things like that. And we don't really get that here other than he paid money for these costumes, but I can imagine he wants someone like, I want to say it was Gambini. I think it was the first, the Flash series from the 90s.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, when Barry first took off, he crashed into a laundry truck for Gambini's. If I recall, it's been a while since I've watched that, but that's what I
remember watching it when it first came on like years ago.
But yeah, then we get the introduction of their kids, and when Maxine walks in, her brother's like, Tarzan doesn't have a monkey pinhead. It's chimpanzee. And Mom's all, what did you just call your sister? Don't you dare call her a pinhead again. Overprotective mom, protect her daughter.
Yeah, her Clippy here, the proto Bart Simpson.
Yeah,
coming in here, wearing the other shirt they won at the fair, where it just says "Heavy Metal Hero."
Yes,
I'm like, okay,
very much. Yes.
I'd buy that at Hot Topic. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. And when Cliff was opening up the milk jug, I was looking at the back trying to see if I could discern anything from the missing thing on the back, because I'm wondering.
I thought that was you would think that might be like a thing in the future.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, I don't remember if this comes up, but I'm sitting there looking at trying to see if I can discern anything from the missing kids on the back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I do like, we get a little bit of their home life. We got the kids arguing because, again, you get brother and sister, they're going to argue. Take my word for this.
Oh yeah. And she also Maxine has a drawing because that's where the monkey, the chimpanzee comes from. The comment from Cliff, and she has a drawing of her dad. And I'm assuming it's her dad standing next to a monkey, or some guy standing next to a monkey, or it's Tarzan. No, she says it's Tarzan.
Tarzan and his monkey.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Tarzan, and it's next to a monkey, and Buddy's focusing on it, and he we kind of fade into the next part of this issue
Right.
with this mystery man.
Yes, that was a nice fade in the way that they focus on Buddy looking at that chimpanzee, and we hear the word, we see the panel screaming above it or whatever, the thought balloon, and then we cut over to Mystery Man still talking about monkey screaming, car screaming. It doesn't know how you could do this. Talking about a star, and that's where we get he pulls the helmet off.
What does the star have to do with anything? Did you remember? Does that come up later?
I do not recall.
I don't recall that.
So I don't recall what the star he's referring to is.
Yeah, it's just like a star, like straight, like spray painted on this back in this alley he's in.
And that's what was that supposed to be spray painted, or was that something he was seeing? I wasn't quite sure about that.
Soundless images, contracts into focus. Oh no, I think he's hallucinating it. I think there's something he's saying. You're right. Yeah, he sees a random star.
But that's when we bring in the mugger coming into him earlier with the gun that you mentioned earlier. How he quickly takes care. Come on, man, turn out your pockets. Let's keep this nice and let go, he just punches the guy's hand, punches his face, and again, this is still it's not made out of code approved book. They're still trying to keep to code approved, if you will. So we don't see him actually bashing his face in. It's kind of going off panel with just the force bubble or force whatever is coming off his face as he punches him. But then he throws him out in the street, and we see his hands shattered and his head's just a big pile of goo on the ground, basically.
Yeah, he messes this guy up pretty good. Like he must have punched this guy, and his head must have like exploded.
Yeah,
it was like a Tyson uppercut or something.
I don't think he can be robbing anyone in the future, but
no, he's not gonna be anything. He's not gonna be living in the future. This guy's dead.
Yeah,
this guy's a goner. But it's crazy too because I'm not used to seeing this mystery person do what they're doing, like that. Like I'm just used to seeing them do the thing that they're known for.
Right.
I'm trying to be vague because I know it's you're going to eventually introduce him in your future episodes, but so I'm used to seeing them do it, doing what they do differently instead of actual combat. It's weird when sometimes certain heroes do combat. Does that ever, do you know what I'm talking about? It's like watching Dr. Fate throw a punch, because they could do it, like it'll work, because they have some sort of thing, but like
they usually do something different.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's like watching Spider-Man pick up a gun to shoot somebody. That's not what Spider-Man does,
No.
He's fight.
It's like I look at the 90s when the Hulk would have big guns, and you'd be like, it's like, he's smart. And the crazy thing was, he was smart Hulk, so he would know at the time. He'd be like, maybe I don't need this, but maybe I just want it.
No. Well, me and the wife was out shopping yesterday, I think it was, and there was some strawberry shortcake thing she wanted. She's like, I don't need this. But it's not really about what you need. Sometimes it's about what you want,
That's right.
I don't need all these G.I. Joes I've got here, but I've got them.
You can see this whole thing. I don't need an entire select collection of Guy Gardner figures here. Okay.
Right.
But I like Guy Gardner, and I'm gonna make a point to find the Guy Gardners and have them here. And that's how it works. That's what makes me happy. As long as I'm not becoming a nuisance with it.
Right.
You got to know your limits. I think that's where people get into troubles. They go, well, I needed this. And, like it was like, I watch other collector, shows and that, and one of the times was this guy he bought a block of wood that they used to hold the molds for the packaging, but he bought this block of wood for like $800.
Jesus.
And it's like, you don't need that, because how can you tell anybody that what it is? Like you could be like, oh, look at this block of wood. This is what it does. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't. It's not. No, who cares?
Yeah, I think some people get silly throwing it sometimes, but like again, we referenced them before. As Shag is wont to say, find your joy.
Yeah, 100%.
As long as it doesn't hurt other people, if it makes you happy, go for it. That's one of Shag's big things is find your joy. I know I mentioned before my Task Force X podcast, I originally was covering the Suicide Squad's earlier appearances before they formed. It was like the Brave and the Bold when it was, the earlier Rick Flag and all that. And
Okay.
I kind of started covering those, but I wasn't quite as into those because it was like Golden Age and early Silver Age. And it was kind of goofy. And I'm like, I don't want to keep covering these or not. I want to kind of cover everything. And Shag's like, you know what? If it's not making you happy, don't do it.
No, there's no point in forcing yourself to talk about a book or talk about anything or even reading. That's the thing, because I got all these trades, and I'm like, I want to read through my trades. I want to capture. I want to get into all the stuff that I have here, and sometimes I'll start reading something, and I'll be like, I'm not feeling it. I don't. I have it, and I'm glad that I have it, but I don't. Maybe I need to come back to a different time, or I just need to give it up because it's not it right now.
That's why I covered their first couple appearances in the Brave and the Bold, the Task Force X. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling inside. Maybe I'll cover these later on. I'm going to put to the side right now, and I'll get what I really want to talk about is the Suicide Squad. So, Shags is want to say, find your joy. That's the important thing. If it makes you happy, it doesn't hurt anybody, tell them. But and then get back to Animal Man. We get the next display of his powers where he absorbs the powers of a spider.
He does. Yeah, he gets these spider powers like a certain other character.
Yep.
And shows off for his wife, and his wife gets rightly freaked out because he's picking up this Jeep they have. She's like, "Don't drop it." He's like, I mean, just because you could doesn't mean you should in this case.
Yep. And again, very, very much of a family life, husband, wife. The husband's picking up this. She's like, don't you drop that. That's our vehicle. Don't you dare drop that, you son of a.
Yeah, right.
So I love the way Grant Morrison did the dynamics and the interaction between Buddy and Helen.
Yeah. They feel like a real couple, and she feels like the kind of woman that is reacting to a man that wants to be a full-time superhero and that has these abilities.
Yes, very much so. And then the next couple of pages is him testing out his powers, and we get to find out a little bit more about him.
Yeah.
He can absorb animals nearby, and the power only lasts for half an hour until he has to reabsorb the powers again.
That's an interesting bit, and I think that works because you get to know. You just assume that he could just hang on to those powers for as long as he wants, but there are limitations. He is a human man, imbued with alien technologies, and we don't. Who's to say that it's going to be perfect? So I think that's interesting. That I like him testing this stuff out. It's very much like it's like a film kind of thing where it's like you got the hero tying them stuff, just getting used to this new reality.
Got the montage set the 80s music, and
because
he's
to go to Siberia and start doing sit-ups in a frozen barn and whatever.
Yeah. But I do like how the fisherman said, I've been fish. I ain't seen no one out here for a while. He'll show that he pops up out of the water.
Nothing's biting today. Your husband tried to bite it a few times, but I don't understand.
Then we get him flying with like an eagle on the next page.
I like this drawing of this eagle or this bird just kind of like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
what are you doing? I do like I wonder if it's part of the training or if it's just a thing where like him and Ellen were like, hey, let's take a hike, and then I'm gonna take our pack for the day, because he's flying. He actually looks really cool because he's wearing like jeans and like a nice cuffed shirt, and he's got like these 6 sunglasses on, and he's got a nice little backpack, and it's just he looks bad. It kind of looks badass.
In the 80s, I'm assuming the Ray-Bans.
Oh yeah, he's got the wraparounds. He's got the Oakleys.
Oakleys, yeah.
Him and James Worthy got to play basketball later.
And and I'm assuming they're going out different places. On day 3, they're out in the desert.
Yeah.
How she's like, are you sure it's a good place? I don't see very many animals out here. You're just not looking.
They had to go very far out. I'm trying to think I think how close the desert is to San Diego.
I'm not
Because
sure.
I guess if you go more east,
Yeah,
that's where you hit those areas. Because there's cactuses here, man. Straight up cacti.
Yeah, well, I mean, at one time, L.A. and San Diego was desert, so I don't think it's too far to get back to desert. Because
yeah, well, we figured it's like by the coast. You think he might have been like on a did something like by the water, but maybe he's trying to keep himself undercover here. So
yeah, he went the other way. And they're on page 15 when he's running, and Maxine's in the back of the Jeep, and shows our banana peel. And we see him running up towards the banana peel as the page cuts. I was expecting him to hit that. I expected something to happen with that.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Deleted scenes.
Yeah. I was surprised we get a mention of that, because he goes run towards the banana peel, and then we turn to day 4, where he's swinging in the trees with his buddy. What was his name? Roger? Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah. So I'm surprised we get more about the banana peel, but
yeah, I thought that would be something there, the way they kind of focus on it, because you do see Maxine throw it.
Yeah.
In that previous scene, but yeah, I wonder
running towards it, and then a close up with the banana peel. So
don't do that again. Daddy could hurt himself. Yeah. But yeah, he's hanging out here with his buddy Roger, who it turns out to be his next door neighbor, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the other side.
The other side, and they're just learning about
this manager. He needs a manager to get out there, and
it's something I just noticed. Buddy has in this one panel here that you can see, just for one panel, he has bandages on his face.
Yes, I missed that the first time reading through that. As you were talking, I went, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So I guess that is.
So maybe he did slip and we didn't see it. Yeah. But it's weird because later in the next panel, or the second panel or whatever, he doesn't have anything. So he looks completely normal, because it's all him just talking to his buddy and being like, hey, you need to get your face out there. And he's like, all right, put you on this Dick Griffith show. We're gonna go on UHF, and you're gonna show yourself off to the San Diego public. Good morning, San Diego, whatever.
Yeah, so I guess that scene of him hanging upside down at the bench, I guess that's the follow up to the banana peel incident.
Ah, yeah.
Very, very subtle. I missed it until I see you started talking about it. I looked at the page again. I'm like, oh shit, wait, okay, yeah, his face is banged up, at least in that one panel. So I mean, just to give something to complain about, I guess it would have been nicer if they would have carried that forward to the next panel down below, because you don't really see anything on the next panel below that when he's talking about being on TV.
Right.
And then we get more of our mystery stranger, our mystery guest at Star Labs down San Diego. Again, Star Labs was the science place that they always turn to in all these comics.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised they didn't put the little box there to tell you what star meant.
Yeah,
that they love doing that.
Oh yeah, and I love when they do that. I love editor's notes, and when they refer to when something happens in a previous issue and they refer to it for a while, and they brought it back and they referred just like trade paperbacks more recently.
I do feel though, when I'm reading like Superman comics from like the 70s, it's like every issue he's done something with Star. They're like, by the way, guys, I'm like, yeah, I know it's okay. I don't even care. I just know it's Star Labs. All right.
Right. But it's nice for if your first time reading it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, because as Stan Lee has been quoted as saying, every comic's someone's first. So
it's true. Yeah. But so, our stranger here has a bit of the bubbly, and, he's, something's happened to him. He's getting transformed, and I do love that. It's a nice simple thing of the security guard in the foreground, and this character is just on top of this building, just very small, but he's there, and I dig that. And and so something. Does he? Does he do something to the security? Whose hand is this on this Star Laboratories?
I believe it's his. I believe it's a mystery guest, I want to say.
Okay.
He's tracing his hand along as he's looking at it, I want to say.
Right.
I could be mistaken on that, but yeah, I'm assuming it's his hand as he's going to Star Labs, kind of running his hand along the building.
Right.
Is what I'm assuming.
So yeah. No, I guess that makes sense. I don't think he's trying to be too much of a too conspicuous.
Right.
He's trying hard not to. He just he had to make that one guy into jelly because
right.
he attacked him. But other than that, he's fine. He's fine. I'm just here to make a mess.
yeah, and I'll get more later on. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, what were you saying?
I was going to say we're moving on to day 5.
Yeah, yep. Day 5, they're watching Buddy's appearance on the
Dick Griffith.
And again, that I don't know if these supposed to be consecutive days, but that's really quick for him to record one day, record, and then be. I guess maybe I don't know.
Well, it's probably like a like a what day delay or whatever. But actually, if it's day 4, so you assume that whatever this conversation is happening. It looks like it's happening in the morning, I guess, because the sun's really high, and so maybe he was like, "Hey, I can get you on that show today. They tape at 4, and they'll air tomorrow." So it's the magic of entertainment.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I haven't done anything with Hollywood and all that. So I guess maybe it's quicker than I thought it would be.
Yeah. So, but they refer to him as LA's newest superhero. So
I was noticing that too.
It's got just geography wise. I guess it's not in that San Diego thing. It's more of like a Southern California thing. Yeah. So he's on some sort of Southern California variety show of sorts, and he's there with this guy, and this guy's got John Davidson hair from the Hollywood Squares, and it's a pretty wacky appearance.
Yeah, and I believe he's probably supposed to be a cross between who was it, Merv Griffin and I remember the other one.
Griffin or
this is the Dick Griffin show, so I'm assuming it's Merv Griffin combined with something else.
I guess Mike Douglas. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's he's trying to think of some of the other big names at the time that were doing those kind of shows.
Yeah. But I like how they're playing. He's doing all these comments, these jokes about it, but he's like, "Hey, they're cutting all the good stuff," and his wife's just like, "The human zoo."
Well, he's not. But also, too, they literally just were like, "Hey, man, you want to come on the show? Great, come on, say hi." And then this guy makes a crotch joke. Yeah. This husband's a crotch joke, and then they're like, "Okay, that's it." I'm like, "What was the point of that?" Like you'd think you would come out there and be like, "Hey, so I'm feeling like I'm feeling like a spider. Let me lift up this Buick in your parking lot or something."
Yeah, I'm assuming the kind of stuff he did because he complains they're cutting the good stuff out. But
right.
I find it strange. Yeah, they cut all this other stuff, and it's just Dick Griffin making these stupid one-liner jokes and what have you.
Yeah, it's not great, but hey, any publicity is good publicity, I guess in this case.
Yeah, it worked here, so.
Yeah.
Because
100% was because somebody. I think it's great because okay, I'll say this is you, man. Let you explain what's going on here.
But the next page on day 6, where he's in his costume, is that where we're going?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And again, as you mentioned earlier, he's got his jacket on, and I believe this is where, he talks about how it gives him stuff to pet his money and pet stuff, and it looks cool.
It looks cool. The jacket really works.
Yes.
And I think it's just a small missing piece that you don't think you needed, but it makes sense, that he needs it, and it just fits with the rest of his costume. It just happens to have that black, blue kind of gimmick going on. I do want to point out here, so comes in, he's like, "Hey, I got a call from my buddy Roger that Star Labs wants to hire me because they saw me on this show." So I'm just trying to figure out that Superman is out of the picture. He's
busy,
completely unavailable. And we're talking San Diego, we're talking Star Labs West. So, you either can talk to Green Lantern, but is he reliable? maybe not. He's a space guy. He's got stuff to do in space. You need a local guy. Oh, I was just happening to watch Good Day LA. There's a guy in there that for about half hour put his head under the sink and didn't drown. So he must be a real good guy to come in and check out whatever this is.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just looking real quick, and yeah, right now in Superman,
This is 88, so yeah.
It's part of the introduction of the Supergirl saga, it looks like.
Oh yeah, he's busy.
Supergirl in from the Pocket Universe.
He's like, hey, I can't. My cousin's in town. I'm busy.
Well, it's before he was his cousin, or after.
Or this the plasma, when she was the plasma or whatever.
Yeah, she came from a Pocket Universe, and it was protoplasmic blob.
Well, it was probably a thing where it was like, this is really weird. This girl that I may or may not have known and watched her pass, before all this stuff got changed.
Right.
She's here, and I need to deal with this.
I'm busy.
Call the other guy.
Yeah. But I mean, also in this, I mean, there was Starman, but he was in Arizona, so he was relatively close-ish.
Oh yeah, that's right. Will Payton.
Yes, I covered that over recently on my Starman.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I covered that whole series.
I should check that out because I got scattered issues of that, but I do like reading. It's actually kind of in the same vein as this.
Yeah,
there's some similarities to it, and I do.
I covered that and the Manhunter book. It was around the same time. The Mark Shaw Hunter.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's another one. That mask, that Manhunter mask, the Dumas, whatever, the Order of Dumas or whatever. That is a wicked mask, man. That is such a cool look.
Yeah, no, I covered that, and then when I ran out of Mark Shaw books, I just covered just the Starman. And I just recently ended that one.
Nice.
Again, I like all these niche little superheroes that no one else cares about.
These are the ones you need to talk about, man. These are the ones. It's the true forgotten League of Heroes, and those are the people I care about. Because I identify with them sometimes. When I'm feeling left out, that's how I feel.
Oh yeah. It's the Starman.
When I'm the 300th down the list, you're calling me as Star Labs. So to figure this out.
Yeah, so Star Labs didn't have a whole lot of heroes on the West Coast they could call. So again, we didn't see what his powers were in the show, but all they need, it's a superhero. He's in San Diego. Hell, let's give him a call.
He's close. He's super close. He doesn't. He doesn't. We don't need to reimburse him for fare. Even though he flies. Yes,
he's right here.
He flies. Does your comic this thing here when he's off to work and he gets the vibe from he gets the Iggy from the bird so he can fly?
Right.
Does yours have a coloring error?
Which coloring error? I mean that panel, the bird's white
panel here where for some reason his jacket is also orange. You see that?
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that, but yes.
I think obviously it's an error of some sort, but it just
that's scan. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's blue on page 19, and I didn't catch that. But yeah, on page 20 on both those panels, his jacket's turned orange all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's weird.
I guess that's how good Ellen kisses. Kissed the blue right out of him.
You got rid of my blues, Ellen. You are quite the gal.
Yeah, I get his buddy off the next door neighbor Trisha. Your relationship's in there too, huh?
Yeah, right.
And again, I gotta say for Shag and my buddy Kevin over my G.I. Joe podcast, Trisha, hot.
Oh yeah, she's quite the number for this kind of book here.
Yes,
she is babed out, and she's talking. She's kind of. This is kind of like the second-ish joke about packages.
Yes,
I know you're saying trying to keep this a family-friendly podcast, but she makes a shooting blanks joke.
Yeah,
like we're married with children or something here. I don't know.
He always had delusions of grandeur. He thinks he's a big gun, but he only shoots blanks. Wah, wah, wah. And that's when we go to a commercial break because we got the joke there. Oh, this was a TV show.
You're right.
But
Studio audience goes wild.
Yeah. But I like how, Ellen's like, well, is Roger serious about all this manager stuff? And he's like, I don't want to bring Buddy down, but Roger's serious about everything about half a minute.
Yeah. I don't know if it's really, I don't know. I mean, I forgot exactly. I got to go back and maybe skim more over what else happens with this guy, because I think doesn't like it kind of plays. He plays this guy. This Roger fellow continues to play into like the first.
Yeah, I believe so.
couple
Again,
issues.
I haven't read these issues in decades, but this is my first time reading them in quite a while. Just other crap to do, but I do remember I loved this run, so that's why I wanted to cover it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Right on.
And then on page 21, we get these guys shooting birds.
It's crew.
Blows the birds, rains out, and just leaves it laying there.
Oh man, I like the way that these guys are drawn.
Yeah,
because they're mostly wearing just like solid colors. Which is kind of how I dress these days. And then you just have this one guy there, just like Arlie Ermy. It's like full metal jacket, and there's also a dog.
Yeah, it's a Doberman back seat. Well, back seat at the cage area in the very back.
Yeah, they're just having this weird, and they're riding in a station wagon.
Yeah,
just being a bunch of nuisances because this guy is like talking like, "Oh man, I get to hang out. I don't get to hang out. I get to hang out with the guys, not my wife. I get to do this shooting stuff." And I'm like, these guys get way worse later, and it upsets me knowing that where this goes.
Just get with that woman and her damn yakking all about Blake and Alexis and Christ knows what all. I feel like a kid, man. I feel free, free as a damn bird as he drives off as the bird's laying there dead. And yeah, since that's all that's happening here, we know this is going to come back later to have something happen. So it's definitely setting up for future issues.
Yeah.
And then we end with the reveal of Buddy going to Star Labs. And he's like, yeah, why don't you just call the police on this? Someone just broke in. Why you need a superhero? But before that, yeah, he's like you mentioned earlier, he's like, frankly, we were hoping for Superman's help, but apparently this is one of his busy days. It's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They do mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, we wanted Superman, but he's not available. So, you'll do. Like, gee, thanks, jerk off.
Yeah. We were in a hurry. I mean, come on. I mean, honestly, what would Superman do? What would Superman? I mean, would Superman look at this? You know what Superman would do? He would take whatever this is,
right?
This Kronbergian nightmare, and throw it into the sun, because that's what Superman loves to do: is throw things into the sun.
Yeah.
Not get enough of it.
Yeah, doesn't learn his lesson. But anyways, that's for a Superman podcast. But. Again, if you're looking for a Superman podcast from this time frame, I know Mike Bailey and Jeffrey Taylor does the From Crisis to Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Still, I haven't listened to the podcast in a while. Just busy at work, but I loved the From Crisis to Crisis podcast because again, that was my era of Superman.
Right.
Triangle. Right. I loved what they did there, but guys, I work with primates, apes, monkeys. And that's where he's like, why didn't you call, if it's just a break-in, why not call the police? Why is this? I love that on page 23 as he's walking in. Why is this a superhero job? As he's looking at this place throughout, metal door, thick metal doors broken off the wall and bent to hell and back.
There's stuff strewn all over the place, just trash and liquids.
And that there could tell you why it's a superhero job, because you got all this stuff broke, these metal doors just crunched up and broken.
Yeah.
Then we get to the shocking final page where we see these monkeys, chimps, whatever they are, one giant mass of goo, if you will.
Yeah, this is gross. It's not just that they're stuck together, but Chaz Truog here, the way that he draws this and the way that it's colored makes it even more gross, because it's not just like a bunch of brown monkeys stuck together. It's like you got orange and you got pink, green or red and yellow, and it's all together. And the monkeys, like some of them are just heads. But some of them are just the half of the bodies being hanging out. There's this one here right in the foreground here.
Yes.
In the front here that is just hanging out. It is not cool.
And I have to say, the art between the artist and the inker and all that, they did a fantastic job on this.
Oh, 100%.
If you look at the faces on these monkeys, you can see that a lot of them are in pain. They're like screaming, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that they're suffering. So, I mean, again, I'm sorry for these monkeys, but as a comic book, they did a fantastic job drawing these. So you got to love the way that, and again, it's kind of a great splash page for the final page of the series, of the issue, to end on here and dun dun dun.
Yeah. No, it really. I
It was
just like when Buddy asks that question, and then they walk into this room, and the doctor's just like, this does.
Yeah, it's just.
And he's like, "What am I gonna do? What do you want me to do?"
And I
think so can I? So what? I'm going to imagine these monkeys and try to take their powers. So does that make him extra strong? If he could,
I don't know, or would it make him? I don't know if that, or if he absorbed their trauma also.
Oh my god!
But,
oh my goodness!
Yeah, I know these first couple of issues, Grant likes to end on a not only a cliffhanger, but also just a very graphic image, which we'll talk about next time. I believe it was second issue. Also ended on a very graphic image that just wow. So yeah, that was the first issue of Animal Man. So I'm looking at a digital scan. I don't have my actual comic in front of me, so I'm not sure if it was a letter page. Probably not a letters page at this point. There may have been. I think there may have been a.
No, they I don't got a letters page in my book either.
Was there like a page from like the writer or the editor or anything on it, or
they're in the very beginning of this trade? No, there's nothing like that. Although the very beginning of this trade, there's a letter from Grant Morrison talking about why he did this and all that stuff. So yeah.
No, it was the first issue of Animal Man. Like I said, I read this. Like I said, it may have been this month after it came out. I may have picked this up with issue 2. I already picked this series up early on, though. But yeah, I thought this was a fantastic start to this series.
Yeah, no, it's a great punch, right off the bat, and I think Grant Morrison, just the way he reintroduces his character, and it's just got so much charm to it, just so much familiarity, but also he's a new guy, but he's not new, and it's just what I mean, like we're not starting completely from scratch,
right?
And we're throwing things into a weird realm like right off the bat, and so it's really cool as this series goes along. These first couple issues go along, you see the way that he utilizes his powers to get himself out of these situations that he kind of ends up in because he is so inexperienced,
right?
Because he's not
like you're saying, he's been around for a while, but he hasn't done a lot. So
right. Oh yeah, he's just he's rusty.
Yes, there you go. He's got that. Not necessarily inexperienced, because he's been around doing it for a while. It's just he doesn't do it very often. So if you don't do something, you're going to get rusty on it. So
yeah, and it costs him pretty dearly in a few instances here, coming up, and it you never really know where it's going to head next, and eventually, with the thing that you're using for your background here,
yes,
like it just gets into these weird situations that you're just like, man, we're going for something different here, and it's supposed with this guy who just collects animal powers and he's able to use them. It's just it's not like this complicated character, he's got a very basic it's everything after that makes him complicated. His powers himself, like they're just like, okay, this is what he does. What he does. But how do we make it weird? How do we make it interesting? And Grant Morrison does a great job. And man, the art, like I think Chas Chirag is fantastic. The way that the fate, the people's expressions are, stuff like that. But I also want to give a shout out. I just love the way that it's lettered. I don't know why, but I noticed it feels like this feels. Whoa! I got big. The way that the lettering is, I don't know. Yeah. It just feels different. And
I didn't think about that, but you don't get a lot of the letterers don't get a lot of credit. They're usually like the unsung hero, but unless it's done poorly.
Well, if it's done bad, it's like a pro wrestling match, and the referee, when you have a match, it's not just 2 guys, it's 3 guys, because the referee is kind of like the guy that's keeping everything in order so that in order in a certain way so that the show can continue.
Right.
And when you have a bad referee, you know it. But when you have a good referee, you don't even notice it.
Yeah, same way like the letter,
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Usually, you give shout out to the writer, the inker, penciler, sometimes the colorist. But yeah, the letter doesn't get much love. But yeah, when you have like I say, when you have a bad one, it can make a world of difference. So it's good giving that shout out to especially when they do something good. Because yeah, I don't think they get enough love.
No, not totally, but they do a good job here.
And I fall on that myself. I don't give the letter enough love myself, unless something really stands out, or something's really horrendous. Which because I say the letter, if they're doing the job right, you don't really notice what they're doing. It's just part of the issue, and it's just
makes it all work.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. But unless you have anything else to say about the first issue of Animal Man,
I'm glad you had me on to talk about it because I just jumped right into it this afternoon and I was like, man, this is the realness, man. This is how this is what good comics are, and it just feels good. And maybe we'll talk about it on our show and we'll get real dirty with it.
There you go.
Because that's the thing. That's the thing about a lot of shows, comic book shows, drop the words that we do. But we'll go into it, and this is something that I don't know if we've ever covered Animal Man on our podcast before. We definitely had him like appear, but this is something I would love to just because I know Jen's never read this.
Oh, okay.
And her reaction might be given the way that everything it goes and stuff like that. Like I know it'll be a lot of fun. So this is actually kind of gave me a bit more of like an urge to do that.
Very nice. And speaking of which, if people want to hear more about you and from you and Jen, where can they go?
Of course, go to Worst Collection Ever. That is our podcast. You can find us on all of your podcatchers, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, youtube.com/Worst Collection Ever. You could just type that into the search bar, and we've got all of our new episodes. There's a playlist that has all the episodes updating, so you can just subscribe to that playlist or just keep that playlist handy and you'll get new episodes on YouTube. Also, I'm on all the socials at Angry Hero Shawn, SHAWN is how you spell Sean, and you can find me on anywhere, pretty much anywhere. You can find me there and just see clips from our show, or I don't spend a lot of time on social, but I do spend enough time on there just get the word out about the show. And I would love to interact with folks and talk about podcasts or talk about, comic book stuff or podcast stuff or whatever. It's just, or collecting, because we do talk a lot on our show about, just comic books we buy, but also like action figures and stuff like, and things we watch on TV. And so it's our show has a very, we kind of, we do like half of our show and it's just us bullshitting. Sorry about that. But we just vibe, and we just kind of get that, you get the stuff out of it. I was like, oh, we bought these books, or we went to this convention, or we saw this or whatever, and just things that blow our minds or during the week, as far as pop culture goes or comic books go. And it's a lot of fun. And then we get into the book and we say completely disgusting things about comic books. It's seriously, like, I like to describe our podcast as we're to kind of quote George Carlin, we come from where the buses don't run. We
yes.
We just kind of put our we do our own thing. And I think more people, if you're looking for something a bit wild, like, I don't know if it's wild. We're not wild. Say we're not Animal Man wild. No, but we so something a bit more, like just people getting real freaky comic books or something like that. I would love to have you guys join us, and would love to hear what you guys think, because that's what's beautiful about doing podcast stuff, and I know, Aaron, you find your joy, you talk about cool stuff, like I listen to your G.I. Joe stuff, and it's just the appreciation for the subject matter is it's there, and that's what's really important for folks that want to keep that stuff. Like it's not so much like you want to be people need to remember it, like that was stuff that was important to us. It's not just so much just like, oh, we liked it. It's like, it's what shaped our cultures.
Oh yeah.
It's what made people the way they were. So like, if you were a kid that liked G.I. Joe, but you also liked Animal Man, you never know that that was just part of the genetic makeup of what it was to grow up at that time.
Oh yeah.
And it's really important that we keep doing that.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I don't like to mention his name too often. I'm afraid like Beetlejuice or some other demon is going to pop up. But as Shags, me and Shags talked about previously, I think the golden age of comics personally was like from 85 through 95. In my personal opinion, that was like the golden age of comics. I really loved it. And because that's when I got into it. And it just, I thought both Marvel and DC was hitting on all cylinders. There was occasional stumble here or there, but for the most part, yeah, DC and Marvel was both hitting on all cylinders. We had, the Professor Hulk, as we talked about earlier. All these books, I'm good. G.I. Joe. We had, Animal Man, Starman, The Manhunter, Suicide Squad, Checkmate. All of these books I cover. If you look at my shows, for the most part, you see I have a particular time frame. Even Quantum Leap that the wife and I do was 89 through 95. So, I've got a particular era that I really
look. It's a cozy spot. That's what feels good, man.
Outside of that, there's the Voyagers. Me and the wife and I did. You saw the TV show Voyagers back in 82, 83.
Okay, I don't remember that
season. It was a time travel show. The wife 20 episodes. The wife and I covered that on a podcast called Voyagers Cast. It was a great show. But yeah, it's all right in this time frame is where my love is. And like Shag says, find your joy. So
hell yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me. Like I say, I can be found on the Headcast Network. My website is headcast.headspeaks.com. I'm on YouTube. I've got both my G.I. Joe and my Headcast Network on there. Look for those. I'm on Facebook mainly. I do a lot of stuff with my G.I. Joe group there. I have Blue Sky.
Behold my Night Force sneak peek.
Oh, very nice.
He's not very good in the paint, but I do have it. Or I'm going to be selling this. If you want to buy this from me, you can buy this from me.
Very nice. I said I'm on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Instagram, but I don't do anything on there like I should. I'm working on that. And real quick, also from the chat on this issue, Dave Martell says he noticed many hockey references.
He gets it. He gets it. I think he said referees or hockey references. It was references or referees. I missed that. I think he said referees.
Referees. I can't read today.
Yeah, referees. There you go.
Hockey referees.
He gets it. Yep.
So there you go. But thank you very much, both Dave and Heinz, for joining us here. Like I said, I'm going to do this more often. I'm going to, again, if now that Shawn's been on one of my shows, if I can talk about coming back again.
Dude, you want to come on and talk about some G.I. Joe or whatever, man? I'll kick it with you, man. Let's party, dude.
In fact, next Sunday at 1:00 California time, I'll be recording issue 66, G.I. Joe, and talking about the cartoon Skeletons in the Closet and Knock on Wood. I should have a special guest, Flint Dilley, the writer of the episode, and he did a lot of G.I. Joe, the cartoon back then.
Nice.
He's supposed to be on there with us. So,
right on.
So yeah, definitely anytime you want to come on any of my shows, especially the G.I. Joe or whatever, let me know. I'm definitely up for having you, and I'll get with you soon for doing the next issue of Animal Man.
Oh, right on, dude. That sounds rad.
And until next time, I guess that'll do it. I'm going to end the stream now.